People probably already do see it that way.
Then carry on.
There's ways in which I want to show up in this world and feel like I can't because of whatever the 50% might say.
If it was something to announce, I would have announced it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what people are going to ask. So I'm accepting all side eyes.
Side eye from over here.
Thank you. It kind of inspired my declassified moment for today, which is, I don't know, would we schedule our time to go out to eat?
No.
I don't think so.
This is Sistas Declassified, the podcast where
Taylor
and Taryn,
your virtual sisters, share experiences, insights, and of course the juicy secrets that never leave the sister circle.
So shh, listen up. The Declassified convos are starting now.
Welcome back to Sistas Declassified, where real life sisters who decided to start a podcast instead of going to the movies.
Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so that you can get your weekly dose of declassified moments.
Yay. Okay. So this week, I don't know. I've been having a hard time because I'm trying to change my habits, and I've just been observing and trying to find inspiration from other people who are also trying to change their habits and be different. And it made me think of Blac Chyna, aka Angela White, what she wants to be described as these days, because people are giving her so much grief, kind of. Well, it's a 50-50. I think she's getting a lot of praise for trying to show up and be different. So I don't know if you guys know about Angela White and who she used to be, but she is the mother of Tyga and Rob Kardashian's children. And she has been known for various other things throughout her career as a socialite. We'll call her a socialite.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And so now she's like on her fitness grind. She removed I don't know if it's all of it, but a good majority of her like plastic surgery stuff. I don't know if have you seen her?
I maybe like a couple months ago. I would say she doesn't come up on my algorithm very often.
Oh, well, she's been on mine lately. So she's been exercising. She's like religious these days, and she's just really trying to focus on bettering herself and her health. But everybody around her is kind of like, well, not everybody, like I said, it's not everybody. It's like a 50-50 split of people.
The haters
that don't allow you to change and be different. It's like, if you did all that dirt in your past, how can you come and now be like preaching the Lord?
Got it. Okay. So she lived an X-rated lifestyle and people are like, this seems fake.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I mean, it makes sense that there are skeptical people out there, and it also makes sense that people can change.
For sure. And I guess I was thinking about her and finding inspiration through her because there's ways in which I want to show up in this world and feel like I can't because of whatever the 50% might say, which in really for me, right? I don't have fans or people watching my life for real.
What do you mean? We have all of our sisters.
Right. All of our sisters.
Say hi.
Thanks for being here. But for real, like obviously I don't have naysayers per se, but I might have questioners.
Right. And then there's also just like your internal monologue too.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like my internal monologue often is like, sorry, my little screen over here went black, but I feel like my internal monologue is often like, you don't want anyone's reaction. Like, I don't want you to say anything, good or bad. Don't acknowledge that I'm changing.
You want to be invisible?
I want the change to be invisible. Just like, let me be. Does that make sense?
It could. It depends on what the change is. Because like some changes you make could affect people in your immediate circle. Or like your relationship to people in your immediate circle, as we talked about in a few different episodes where we talk about like being intentional with your hanging out. Like if you don't drink anymore, how can you hang out in spaces where there is an alcohol, etc.
Yeah.
Right. So like if there are boundaries involved, but also like, could you give us an example of something that is for you, about you?
Okay.
That you want to change?
Awkward now because now I have to share it.
Oh, I mean,
and now you're gonna know.
No, sorry, but you can tell us one. You can give us an example of one. It doesn't have to be you specific.
Well, I don't have. I can kind of share. Like, for example, I stopped going to the church that I grew up in, right? And so with that, that's going to create questions of like.
Where is she?
Where is
Does
she?
she still
Does she still believe in God? Does she still like want a church home and a church family? Like, does she value those things? Is she still Baptist? Like, there's just a whole bunch of questions that could come up from that. And it's not like everybody's asking me, but somebody's going to acknowledge and notice that you haven't been there. Or if I do pop up there one day, then those questions will happen, right? So,
or you even get them secondhand, like you hear from mom, oh, so and so asked about you, or pastor asked about you again, or whatever.
And it's not like those are bad things. Obviously, it's very nice to feel like you were valued in that space. But also, it then requires you to communicate and explain things that maybe you're not wanting to explain. Like, if I wanted to tell you about it, I would have.
Right. If it was something to announce, I would have announced it.
And obviously, that's kind of a minuscule, or not minuscule, because your religious beliefs and your spiritual beliefs are very important. But I'm just saying that's like a change that is maybe common. And I don't know. That's just something that I've been working on. And so I was saying that Angela kind of inspired me to just be like,
say who? Like, see, Angela.
I'm calling her Angela because that's what she wants to be. And that is what she is. Read the birth certificate. Her name is Angela. Okay. So I think she inspired me to have my own self-reflection on, it doesn't matter what people are going to ask. You can answer if you want to, or you can just continue to show up how you want to show up. So it kind of inspired my declassified moment for today, which is I'm cool with the side eyes, but my growth is non-negotiable. And so those side eyes could come from me not wanting to answer questions about how I'm different, but it also could come from why she being like that.
Acting brand new.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm trying to work towards, because like you mentioned, I like to have fun. So as I'm reducing my alcohol intake, that's going to cause some questions. And it's been received fairly well. I have had some responses of like, we're going to have one last time. Or like, we're going to have to.
Welcome to the club.
No, but that's fine. Because we didn't have that. Like, I'm telling you that because of how you behave. It has nothing to do with you being drunk.
Wait, what? This isn't about me.
Right. But the issue is you being stank in the corner, not and wanting to go home. But yeah, I think my challenge is, I want to be different, but everyone in my area, or not everyone, because there are people that I associate with and hang out with that are also on this journey of like trying to be more healthy and redefining your idea of fun and what is mature and appropriate at this lifestyle. Like we have at this age, we have things to lose. We have places we want to go. We have things we want for ourselves. And so acting out and doing things that maybe you did at 20, which you probably shouldn't have even did at 20, but we normalize, is like, just not where I'm trying to be right now. So I'm accepting all side eyes. Thank you. But also in other areas, I'm trying to like, my herb garden. I'm trying to develop my own spiritual practices, and those things might then cause some side eyes.
I feel that. I'm trying to think like if I have any things I'm changing or experiencing any areas where maybe I might be alienating quote unquote people or removing myself, but I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I guess though, are there people who are worth your side eyes? Because like Brittany Renner, for example, is that right? Brittany Renner is the one who,
and I give her side eyes.
She's Muslim, and she's I actually don't know about her that much.
From my understanding,
okay, so she's on your algorithm.
she has been on my algorithm, and from my understanding, she was a video vixen, for lack of better words, turned socialite, turned
professional baby
around. Mama.
Professional baby mama.
What you said is a little nicer than what I said. But most recently, like, caught flack because she has a child with a man who's significantly younger than her. And
okay, so like Jerry
it was like this feels like grooming. And then after the baby, she like dropped him, and it was just very clear. from the outside looking in, it looked like I found this 19-year-old so that I could get to the bag, have a baby, and secure some checks, is what it
looked like.
looked like.
Outside. Got it.
So,
okay.
Side eye from over here.
Yeah, because I actually don't know who she is, but I don't. Yeah, I've only seen her be like trolled by other people saying like this weirdo, basically.
Well, she was like podcasting and stuff for a while and just sharing her opinions, some of which, like, there were moments where I would agree and there were moments where I wouldn't.
I think that's maybe where I saw her. Was she something like she's conservative in some ways? Was that her?
I think she would perhaps describe herself as traditional in some ways.
That's
and how she views like male and female relationships and who provides what.
Okay, so she's not conservative per se, but like gender roles.
Yeah, maybe that's.
But like more, what you said though, traditional, traditional gender roles. Okay, well that kind of shapes it a little bit more. I guess she can have but she can make bad men choices and still be Muslim. But
sure,
are you going to?
Sure.
But you've been thotting and bopping.
Well, and like it seems like she plots on things too. So it just seems like, what's your angle? Because you've seemingly had one at all these other points.
Like, have you noticed that growth and development right now is like a trend and getting on with your like spiritual
you saw Angela over there getting the bag and new types of deals that are maybe a little more sustainable and family friendly, and you were trying to see, you got a family, you were trying to see if you could clean it up.
Okay,
it's how some people are viewing it.
Yeah, and that makes sense, and which is why I kind of brought her up, because I've been seeing the comments about her and I saw the video of her and her hijab and stuff, so I was like, oh, okay. And I had heard of her before, I didn't know about this 19-year-old stuff, but I knew she was
a basketball player,
a professional baby mama. Because is that the only kid she has?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know nothing about this girl, but I just know her name, and that's what tells you maybe you need to side-eye me.
I think it's perfectly okay, given what it seems she was famous for, that she never made her way to you.
Yeah, I mean, I heard of her, but
but
not for good reason. So I understood, and why I'm mentioning her today is because I'm like, what makes Angela's different than Brittany's? Because at those same times growing up, right, people like back then, Blac Chyna was just getting a bag, right? She's only with Rob for a bag. She's only doing this for a bag. Like, I don't think that was true with Tyga. I think they came up together.
They came up together.
But yeah, but for Rob, for sure, it was just for a bag.
That was a rumor. That was the rumor. I don't know if she ever confirmed or denied.
But maybe there's a level of accountability and ownership that maybe Brittany hasn't had. And I'm not sure, because I don't know nothing about her. But anyway, this wasn't even supposed to be about them. They were just like some people that I thought about that felt relatable to my situation of like, how can I show up and be different and be okay with it without other people having a response? Then I also had to ask myself, like, why does that response bother you so much?
Well, I think as I process this a little bit more, I think it has more to, well, for me, it has more to do with like my internal monologue and having people external validate the like negative thought or the fear, right? Or the shame or the guilt attached to the thing. Something I've been talking to my therapist about. But I think it's funny as I'm thinking about this more and using the examples of Brittany and Angela, takes me back to my MySpace days back in the day, because I think I'm the opposite. When you think about people describing you or you being different, I think people think I'm boring, reserved, square, if you will. And I would say generally I am. But something I've always wanted to be but never felt like confident enough or secure enough to be is sexy. And like, if I think back to why, I know it's because there's this little voice in my head that says like sexy is bad, and I know that your body's a temple. Your body's a temple. Like, oh my God, it's only for the Lord and for your husband. And like, I know where this comes from, and I come back to like this very salient memory when I very first had a MySpace. I don't know if you remember this story.
Oh, you put your butt on your MySpace.
So I was 14 and I thought, I wanted to fit in. I felt like other girls were getting more attention than me, and I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be
Our
seen.
parents don't play that.
I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be noticed as well.
Mm-mm.
And so I changed my profile picture to a side profile of my butt. So it was like, you know, pushing P. I wanted to make sure people knew I had a little gymnast butt. Anyway, my parents saw it because it was on the family computer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I changed my screen name to Muy Caliente. So I dove right in. And this is probably in the first
You know, this
few
is some
months
early 2000s.
yeah, this is like the first few months of freshman year of high school. So it was 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, long story short, my parents did not play that. I deleted my whole MySpace, didn't download a new one again until a few years later.
Yeah, I think junior.
Because I was just so,
and she was no longer muy caliente.
I felt so shamed, I guess. And I'm not blaming them. I understand their perspective. I was a 13, 14-year-old posting, inviting images on a public internet, right? Like, we were still learning these things. Mm-hmm. We were still learning about the dangers of the World Wide Web.
But just think, now everybody does it.
I know. But fast forward to today, I would say I am less conservative than I used to be, mm-hmm. but still fairly conservative. But there's this internal me that like wants to be seen and viewed as sexy. And there are lots of moments where I feel that way. I'm like, my husband makes me feel sexy, but like in general, I want to be sexy, but that's like not what I give. Mm-hmm. But like, and I could do things to change that. And I'm on the fence about it, but that just made me think of like an opposite example to yours, where like there are people who are maybe more reserved who want to step out, and that could be different too. But the fear of the comments are kind of the same.
Yeah, and I would say in certain settings, people might describe us the same exact way.
Yeah, I think so.
But it depends, because if you actually, I think, know me enough, then you wouldn't describe me that way. But I think if somebody still knows you well, they still would.
Yeah. I'm boring through and through.
But you're not. That's not what I was saying at all. I do think, though, I don't even think it's that you're boring. You're just, like, you have fear of consequences. Whatever those consequences
I'm risk averse, I guess.
Yeah. So, and I was always going for it.
I guess I'm more risk averse and, like, low effort. Mm-hmm. Like, if it seems effortful,
which is fair.
Yeah. But maybe I'm chill. That's it. I'm chill.
But I think moral of the story got off a little. Your story wasn't off. It was made sense. But I guess moral of the story and what I'm trying to say, but before I want to acknowledge your sexiness and just name that I think part of the challenge is like what is deemed sexy versus what isn't. Because I think ultimately us showing up as a natural Black woman with our natural everything wouldn't be deemed sexy.
Right, like to the general public.
Yes,
to the beauty standard.
To the beauty standard. Obviously, that might not be what you think. But because of that beauty standard, maybe that's why you don't feel sexy sometimes. Because you might be wearing the outfit and doing everything someone else is doing, but then your hair is natural. Yeah. And then you're like, not sexy.
Doesn't do it.
Right? So,
yeah, I guess maybe that's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it.
Because I feel like if you imagine sexy in your head right now, what do you see? And maybe not even on you, but just like in general.
I don't know why, but the first person who came to mind was Lupita Nyong'o. That was just the first face I saw. I was like, who's somebody when you see them, they like, okay, but that was the first answer that came to mind when you asked me the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wouldn't describe her as sexy.
Really?
I think she's beautiful, though. I think maybe like Regal.
Okay, elegant. And maybe I think sexy is Regal. I don't know. And maybe that's the disconnect.
Right. And that's what I was basically getting at. Is like maybe understanding what you deem as sexy is part of the challenge.
Yeah, because I think you can be sexy without being raunchy. And that's where the conservative me, I guess, comes in and switches it from. So maybe I don't want to be sexy. I want to be Regal. Wow.
Mind blown.
Breakthrough.
Right.
I want to be seen as Regal. My favorite color is purple.
People probably already do see that way.
Then carry on.
I feel like that's a fair word to describe yourself. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that before we wrapped up today, because I think ultimately we both have to work on, or could work on, our internal monologues that help us to be okay with the direction we're going, and not blame like our community for what is holding us back from being who we want to be, because they're not. Asking questions and trying to understand you is not a problem. And so I think that's the other thing that I have to work on, because people are asking me questions because they're just trying to understand what's going on with me. They're not trying to judge.
Yeah,
and so I
not enough
see
front.
I shouldn't see it as judgment. So hopefully, if that resonates with you, maybe that's something that you could be working on with me. But in wrapping up our sister circle question, do you want to say it for today?
Okay, yes. Our sister circle question for today is there a time where you have been or felt challenged to show up differently in a space, whether that be at work or in your family settings? We want to hear where you might be playing two sides of the same coin.
Yay! That was a great sister circle question.
Don't forget to like and leave us a comment if you want to join the conversation. We definitely want to hear from you. And if you want to keep up with us on our other social platforms, Instagram and TikTok, you can find us at Sistas Declassified. Bye.